Diffusion. Diffusion is the movement of a substance from a higher to a lower concentration of that substance, a sufficient means of communication for only the smallest animals. Worms, such as flatworms, use diffusion for oxygen supply. If a worm is 5 millimeters thick and it can only consume 1 to 2 milliliters of oxygen per gram per hour at 15 degrees Celsius, then diffusion keeps the supply of oxygen balanced when too much nutrients is consumed, as well as removing waste through the body wall. Diffusion works by exchanging oxygen at the surface of the skin. So, if a worm had too much oxygen on one side and not enough on the other, diffusion helps keep the oxygen balanced with one another. With flatworms, osmosis helps stabilize homeostasis. With annelida, after nutrients and dirt move through the worm, osmosis helps to take out that extra nutrients. Nemertea. With nemertea, osmosis allows the worm oxygen. And with nematodes, osmosis helps remove wastes from the worm.
The surface area of a worm is determined by the length and extensibility. Platyhelminthes have flat bodies, giving them a larger surface area. Nemertea have microvilli that increase the surface area in the skin. Annelida have gills that help them get the oxygen to the different parts of their bodies, assisting with diffusion. Nematodes have a cuticle that prevents them from getting larger because it makes diffusion faster. The volume of worms is determined by their bodies. Flatworms have a small volume, so diffusion occurs faster. But in annelids, diffusion isn't able to occur fast enough to get oxygen to the different parts of the body, so they have to have different systems to help in order for them to survive.
The annelid worm needs the circulatory, respiratory, and excretory system because of the worm's volume to surface area ratio. The circulatory system is when newly oxygenated blood is circulated throughout the worm's body. The worm takes the nutrients in the blood, dispersing it to all the body tissues. Waste is also picked up throughout the blood. Annelid worms have a closed circulatory system, which is when the blood is closed at all times within the vessels of different size, all being pumped by the heart. Although most worms only breathe through their skin, annelids breathe both through their skin and through their gills. Since the respiratory system provides the circulatory system with oxygen, the hemoglobin holds onto the oxygen in the circulatory system.
In earthworms, members of the phylum Annelida, the excretory system consists of structural units called nephridia. Each nephridium contains a ciliated tunnel that leads to a long coiled tubule, which leads to a bladder-like sac that is called the primitive bladder. Fluid moves from the internal environment into the funnel. As fluid passes through the tubule, cells into the tubular lining absorb useful compounds such as glucose, amino acids, and salts. The remaining materials constitute metabolic waste, and they are passed into the bladder-like sac. The sac later opens through a pore in the earthworm's skin, where the waste products are discharged. Some earthworms also have micronephridia, which are much simpler than nephridium and hang freely in the coelom from the ends of their funnels. Leading from a short narrow tube is the main part of the micronephridial tube, a long spirally twisted loop which has a ciliated lumen only in certain parts. The coelom is a unique body cavity that is part of the earthworm's bilaterally symmetrical body structure. The coelom is an open surface found between the earthworm's stomach or gut lining and its body wall. It also forms a circulatory system, which makes further growth possible. The coelom is where the organs are suspended, separating them from the gut. A fluid-filled body cavity enables the earthworm to transport more effectively and allows excretory organs, gonads, and their products to be contained there. Bilaterally symmetrical animals, such as annelids, have 3 tissue layers: the endoderm, the mesoderm, and the ectoderm. Such animals are eucoelomates, meaning they possess a true coelom, which originates from the mesoderm layer and is enclosed by it. The earthworm's body wall and gut are completely formed from mesoderm elements. Not all bilaterally symmetrical organisms